Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So, the first things I want to talk about right away is the homeless food drive. I got to say that we had an amazing homeless food drive this past Thanksgiving. I don't know if I said that on last show or not. The days are all blending in as of lately, but I want to thank everybody for doing anybody who donated food, anybody that donated money to our food drive. It was just so amazing. We fed so many people, and it just brings me so much joy to know that there's so many caring people out there. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody who donated. Also, we have another drive coming up. We do this all the time, people. So if you ever miss one drive and you want to do another drive or you don't have the funds or resources, then we do them every single month. And this time we're going to do another seasonal type of drive. We are going to be doing both clothes and food. And so if you guys want to donate, you guys know where to find us on Spirit Communities on Facebook. And if not, you can always email us. Then we'll always provide the link. But before we get into today's show, today was actually quite a wonderful day. I actually went to a kava bar. I actually got to meet a couple people today, and this conversation was actually very nice. There's a very few people that sometimes you just go there and all of a sudden you kind of find yourself in the right place at the right time, so to speak. And it was just one of those days where when people are looking for, growth, and people are looking for evolution, they're looking to grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, or whatever you want to call it. And it was just a really nice conversation. And it kind of got me thinking about today's show and everything, and just kind of what we do here at the show, and just showing that, even though we might not all be on the same page, that the jump is affecting a lot more people than they know. There's a lot of people I see that are trying to work through their emotions or their mental or whatever their challenges are in life. And even though we had completely two different systems of ideas of how we look at things in life and everything, we were still able to come together and realize that, hey, it's about humanity, it's about love and compassion, and it's really about working on self. And this is something that I really hope that we start to come to understand, especially if you guys have been tuning into this show for a very long time. I hope that you guys are starting to understand that really, when we look at our lives, we have to realize that everything that's going on through our life is to teach us some type of lesson of growth and responsibility and reflection of who we are. And as we were talking about the last couple of weeks about the 7 governors of the universe with the chakra systems and everything, we were understanding all these different ideas, because the chakra systems are not just some spiritual thing, as we've discovered, they're not just energy systems in our body where we let light in and everything. They're real energy systems that produce lessons in our lives, and we have to learn to master them. We have to learn to grow with them. And even if we're not aware of what we're going through or what we're actually doing, it's nice to see those energy systems in full motion, because today I got to see that. I got to talk to a couple wonderful people today. I made some really nice friends. And I got to see the process of the way things were working for these people, because there's one in particular that, a little down, a little feeling like they're lost. And again, we're never truly lost if we understand how life works. We may think that we're lost. We may think that, that we don't know what we're doing, but we know more what we're doing than ever. And it was so nice, because what we got to do is we got to realize is I got to see the information grasp hold of somebody. reality. And that's just always such an amazing thing. And I always love those conversations. I always love to see when someone is really struggling and they just feel like there's no place for them to go. And then all of a sudden, boom, the universe, whatever we want to call it, the energies help us meet, and fate steps in, and boom, the next thing we know, we're having a 2-3 hour long conversation. I talked to these people for several hours today, and it was just so receptive and so nice to see. And you could see that by the end of the conversation that this person had hope. Now I know, on the show we always say hope can be toxic sometimes, and it could be an idea where hope leads us into these ideas of failure or whatever, or chaos, because hope does do that sometimes, especially when we hope for things that aren't realistic sometimes. But as well as, this was a different kind of hope. This was somebody that was looking for themselves, working on some of the fundamental parts of who they are, because they are a younger soul. And all of a sudden, not really understanding of how we're going to get from point A to point B. And that's kind of what this show is about. We're going to finish up the 7 governors of the universe that we were talking about. I think we have one left, if I'm not correct by my notes. And then after that, we are going to talk about how to master them, because a lot of people are always like, all right, Miss Raina, well, that's great what we talked about. This is great what we were, what we learned, but how do we master it? Because that's really what everyone wants to do, right? We want to master everything. We want to become perfect at everything. And that's going to be a long road for you, because I use the term master loosely, because now, even if you think you're a master, that's why I don't like the word masters, gurus, or anything like that, because we tend to think that there's an end. And there's never an end. If we understand how life works and how we live as humans and cycling and everything, then we understand that there's never really truly an end, because that means that would have to be a start. And if we understand that, then that's where we have to go. And that's why we're going to get right into the generational chakra, which is the root chakra, because the root chakra is all about creating new realities, recycling energies over and over. It helps us to understand who we are in our basic fundamental needs. It helps us to understand that at the fundamental level, we are a creation of who we are. It's not some god or goddess or some universe creating us. It's us having the permissions and the allowance to do that, because we will it. And that's really what I got to see tonight earlier today with the conversation that I was having with this lady, was having the idea of having someone who was not understanding something and not realizing that she's creating a reality of generational chakra, which is creating this new reality that she's unfamiliar with, doesn't understand how to deal with it. And then all of a sudden someone says, hey, you know what, it's okay, this is valid, this is understandable, this is the way. But you have to focus really on what's important, because what people do in the root chakra is we are about the basic needs. The generational is all about the basic needs. It's all about the fundamental needs, and I'm not just talking about physical, I'm talking about mental, emotional, all that stuff. And so when we're looking at that basic needs, we're sitting there, and this person was like, well, you know what, I don't have a job right now, I don't have this, my ex-husband, did this and this and that, and it was all these things because the basic fundamental needs were not met. As we know of Maslow's theory, I'm not going to get into that, but you guys understand that. But yeah, we all have basic needs, and these basic needs, if they're not met, if we don't understand why we have certain needs, like from the ego and the id and different things like that are screaming, crying like babies, if we don't understand that, then what we do is we end up chasing things, because we associate our fundamental safety with these ideas. Well, if I have a boyfriend, if I have a girlfriend, if I have a career, if I have these things, then I am safe. safe. Because what do we fear most? We fear failure, right? We fear death. We fear being alone. These are ideas that we fear. But truth is that, hey, transition, or you guys call it death, but transition back home is a fact. Anybody who's here, you are guaranteed to transition back to home. Hey, there's been many times where I've been jobless. Things have been tight here for the last 2 years because of the sickness that I went through. But now that I'm better and things are moving, things are changing, but we all go through periods of time. And during that period of time, we have to learn that the fundamentalness of who we are is always okay. We have to understand that these basic needs of survival are not met by money. They're not met by boyfriends or girlfriends or monetary or anything, cell phones or anything. But it's because we are looking for that generational need. We're looking for that survival. We're looking to understand who we are at our fundamental basis. And so I can always tell. One of the things people ask me is, Miss Raina, how do you know when you see a really young soul? And it's simple. It's basic. It's based on what they're really chasing. Because when you start to learn to grow and you start to learn to experience self in its true nature, you realize that, hey, even though this body's temporary, I'm okay. And money doesn't matter. These computers don't matter. The cell phone doesn't matter. Nothing matters. All that matters is self. And when you start to grow in self, you realize that you spent many lives surviving, because that's what we think we have to do, right? Life is a survival game. We are meant here to survive. We're going to try to go after everything. And I need security because I need to understand what it does. I need to make sure that I am secure in everything that I do, because I don't have the love and compassion that I'm looking for within myself to be able to know this. And this is why so many of us get caught in this loop, especially, down in the root and the sacral chakras, because we're trying to learn the most fundamental needs. We're trying to be human and be these beings at the same time, and trying to put these puzzle pieces together and to bring us to an understanding throughout each and every single life that everything we learn is about self. It's about recycling who we are in our processes, life after life after life, and building these experiences to answer a few questions. Who am I and what can I be? I mean, because that's what life is about. We are asking ourselves when we're over there, who am I and what can I be? When we ask that fundamental question, we discovered that we can be all these things, and we created that. So all this life right now, the only question that you're answering yourself, even though you don't know it, and the fundamental root right now is, who am I and what can I be? And we get distracted by things we need to survive. And those things are put in place because we have to learn to we have to learn to step away from those things so that we can learn who we are truthfully. We can distract ourselves by video games, by TV. We can distract ourselves on our cell phones all the time. We're very good at that, because we don't want to face the reality of that we don't know what we're doing. So many of us would like to feel that we have it all together, that we know what life is about, and that we're all good, we're tough, we don't. But when it boils down to everything, we learn really quickly that these type of lessons and the things that we're supposed to know are something that we've heard or we've been taught to hear. Not that we really know it, but that's what it is. And so when we want to know the truth of life, when we want to know the truth of what is really going on, then we must look at the generational foundation, because that will tell us who we truly are. What lessons have we brought through from one life to another? How are we transitioning from one life to another? Are we stuck on, and I don't mean stuck literally, but are we stuck on these ideas that we keep repeating us? Are we stuck on the idea of being a victim? Are we stuck on the idea that nobody's going to ever love us? What ideas are we bringing with us so that we're stuck in the ideas that we're not going to grow through the generational chakra? And this is why we have to help learn of who we are. People fight People steal groceries. When we had COVID, what happened? People were buying up toilet paper and what's the other stuff? Hand sanitizer and all this stuff. Some were doing it to make a buck, just to be mean. And some were doing it why? Because they don't understand the generational chakra of themselves. They don't understand who they themselves. They thought, oh my God, the world is falling apart. I need toilet paper. I don't know how toilet paper is going to save you, but hey, at least, you don't have to worry about, not being dirty ever, because that's what it was really about. But rational minds understand that. People who live in this type of idea of fear, of not understanding, of thinking that we need to survive, are always going to try to find something in their own way to get, rather than to realize that everything's okay. And so this is a foundation that we must have to learn to build. We must have to learn not to give in to our fears of what's happening in the world, or thinking that the world's going to burn down, because every generation has their prophecies. Everyone says that this is the end of the world. This is when it's going to happen. But the fact of the matter, it's not, okay? The end of the world is not going to happen for a very, 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 very long time. And when you understand that even if it was the end of the world tomorrow, that you're still going to be all right, that's when you're going to realize that everything you chased meant nothing. And that's the trick of this chakra. This is the trick of that governor. Because if we're going to look at mastering things, well, why do we want to become masters? Because that's a sense of safety. If I become a master, if I become a guru, if I become the best at what I do in my job, if I become top dog, well, then that means security, that means safety, that means knowledge, that means status, that means all these things, right? But the truth of the matter is that doesn't give you any of it, because that's a distraction of who you are. That's a distraction of everything, because without those ideas, then what are you? And that's what I want to ask you with this lesson is, if you took away everything that you are, everything that you work for, everything that gives you status, everything that gives you power, your athletic ability, your looks, whatever it is, your gaming things, your whatever it is, your art, if you took that away, then who are you? Because if you can't answer that question, and you can't feel secure, and you can't understand who you are without all these things, relationships, everything, then we're not really working. We don't understand the fundamental need of who we are. And that's why I love Maslow's theory, because the hierarchy of needs kind of understands that. And he understands that at a fundamental need, the human experience, we need to be touched, we need to be loved, we need all these things. But the pinnacle of it is self-actualization. Why? Because as you realize, as you build up, and I'm just using his as an example, as you build up, you start to realize, well, you know what? I really didn't need this. I really didn't need that iPhone. Because let me tell you something, okay? This is what? An iPhone 12, right? How much was it? $1,200, whatever it is, $1,500 now, $1,100, whatever it is. Okay, let's just say $1,000, okay? And so $1,000 for what? A piece of metal, some plastic, that's it. Some wires, a nice pretty screen. In a year or two, this is going to be worthless. And why is it worthless? It's the same thing. What's the difference between a new iPhone and an older iPhone? Is nothing. It's the same thing. It's the same metal. It's the same plastic. It's the same metal parts. But why is it so important to us? Why is the value changed? It's because it's a perception of how we see things. This is $1,000, and in a year or two, it becomes a worthless piece of junk that needs to be recycled? So do you understand what I'm saying? This does not give us value. This does not make us important. Same with all of this. None of this makes us important. It's understanding ourselves, and through each and every life, building that experience, building on all the experiences that we know, and coming to the conclusion that the most important self is us. So to master who we are doesn't make sense, does it? All right, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution. the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you are just joining us, we are talking about how to master the 7 governors of the universe. And yes, and as I just said, well, let's talk about mastering. Like we said, let's get into it. I'm grabbing the wrong mouse. I have so many mouses here, gaming mouses, that computer, this computer. I don't even know what I'm grabbing anymore. But yeah, pretty soon I'm going to need my glasses because these things are hard. So, okay, so let's learn how to master each one if we want to master it. So first of all, throw out the word master because there's no such thing, because there will be lessons in every single thing that we always do, even up until we become what we're supposed to be reaching for, what most people think life is about, because people think that we're here to become enlightened. And, yes, that is somewhat true, but at the same time, no, it's not. If you want to take enlightenment, mean as know everything and be all perfect and all, kumbaya all the time, well, then that's going to be a big disappointment for you. But if we're looking at mastering or enlightening something as far as constantly learning new stuff, and going in depth about new things that we've already learned, well, hey, then great. Then we are on the same page. Because when we master something, we think, well, I'm enlightened about this. I'm the best at. I know everything there is to know about this idea. But it's not like taking a test. We're not taking tests here. We're not doing these things to become all-knowing beings, to rise up in the air and float. We're not doing those things. We're coming here to learn about who we are, to understand self through our reflection of what we're experiencing in this life. If you want to learn about you and you want to get over the things that you would like to get over, then start looking at yourself in its own reflection for what it truly is. Because every lesson that we see, every lesson that we experience, everything that happens to us is meant to happen for us to gain some type of perspective, for us to say, you know what, this is happening because I need to learn this lesson. Not because this person is doing it to me, not because that person's doing it to me, but because I am reflecting what I need to learn. So if we take the conversation that I had earlier today with these new friends that I made, well, that person became reflective. Because the words that were spoken to her, instead of saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, which a couple of people were trying to say that, and that the way the words were presented to her were reflective. I made her think about what is going on. I made her think and realize that, yes, even though it's our choices that presented itself to this way, that we still have all this power through self-reflection and through understanding to change it, to really move past our pain and suffering and really take control of who we are. And right then and there, you saw, well, the battle between her mind, which is conditioned to, go after this in order to, to get it. And all of a sudden, wait a minute. I hear what you're saying, because one of the phrases I said made her cry. And that's how I know she became reflective. Because when we become reflective and gain that new perspective, we see things in a whole new way. We see things, we become conscious, we become aware. All of a sudden, the world opens up. Instead of looking at everything like this, the blinders are off and we're like, whoa, there's a whole room here. There's monitor. Wow, oh my God. I had no clue that this was happening. I had no clue there was a whole world out here, because we get stuck in our tunnel vision. So as I said, even though these lessons are all one, they are divided into 7 stages, because that allows us to work on specific areas as it is. And so even though we have one life, we may be working on several different of these governors at once. But yes, the main frame of it will be at certain ones, because in order to be able to master what you guys say, the mentalism, you have to be able to understand that, hey, I'm safe. None of this stuff means anything to me. Chasing money, chasing cars, chasing fame, chasing trophies, it doesn't mean anything. Chasing relationships, it doesn't really mean anything. The only thing that means something is me. And so until we understand that aspect, we cannot grow and master what we need to, because we're unable to see anything more than what we are. So many people have belief systems, and your belief system is what cripples you. Because when you have a belief system in something, you say, this is the way, this is the only way, and I'm not going to learn anything else other than that. And that's fine for people right now. Because eventually, many lives from now, things are going to change in your evolution. Because what worked today is not going to work tomorrow. And what you believed yesterday is not going to believe what you believe in the future. You don't believe the same things that you do as a 6-year-old, do you? Why not? Because you're no longer 6. Your mind grew. You grew up in some ways. You have different perspectives, different experiences, and so the things you believe in this lifetime will not be the things you believe in future lifetimes. But it's only in our experiences and our limitations of the refusal of saying there's more out there, because I've been taught this and this is what I believe, is what's going to stunt your growth and what's going to keep you from actually learning new stuff. So if things are working out for you, great, and you're totally happy, well, hey, then you never need to do anything, right? But that's not life. And I know there's no one out there that would say that, oh yeah, everything's perfect all the time. I'm always happy. I never have to work on anything because I mastered everything. You wouldn't be here. Plain and simple. If you are here, you're here to learn, experience, and grow, and you're here to learn to develop a sense of self. But again, this is not like school. You're not getting graded on a test. You're not learning. You're not going to flunk. You're not going to do these things. What you're going to do is you're going to have several lives where you maybe, and I hate to use the word repeat, because then it makes it sound like karma and all that stuff. And we have such a miscommunication of the understanding of what karma really means. But every life you have to learn specific things. You are a specific person, a specific gender, you are around specific people, you are learning, you have specific challenges in your life for specific reasons. And if you can learn to sit there and say, okay, well, even though I may not be happy about this, I can understand that I'm here for a reason, and these are my challenges, and this is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to take each perspective. I'm going to say, okay, well, I feel like this. I feel this way, and I am here, and I don't like it, and I'm tired of being depressed. I'm tired of feeling anxiety. I'm tired of my PTSD. I'm tired of my DID, bipolar. I'm tired of terrible relationships, whatever it is. But it's not until you make that choice to say, hey, you know what? I got to change my ways. I got to start looking at myself and reflecting on myself to understand this. And this has nothing to do with belief systems. This has nothing to do whether you believe in a god or goddess, a universe, goats, camels, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. What this has to do about life is understanding that all of us are the same in that aspect. People ask me every day, well, Miss Raina, how did you get over your DID? How did you get over your bipolar? How did you get over your depression? Because I said, you know what? I have to take control of this and start reflecting on everything that's happening. Yes, I understood even at a young age that these were all lessons, but I was taking things personally. I was allowing myself to close my vision and getting stuck that this happened to me. Because that's the worst words in the world, is this happened to me. So if we're looking at let's say, mastering or trying to figure out the generational chakra like we were just talking about, well, since it's about creating new realities, then create a new reality. Create a new story. Stop saying the same things over and over to keep the story the same. Because as long as you're saying that, you're recycling the old energies. You're recycling, and you're never going to be anything more. As long as if you put someone down or shut something down because they say something that you don't believe in, or oh, that's not my belief system, I get it, but well, then you're recycling that old stuff. Maybe people have things for you that may sound different, may sound crazy, but maybe it works. And that's what generational is about. Because we're afraid, because we're looking for safety, we attach ourselves to these ideas, these places, these things, whatever, money, religion, spirituality, this and that, because we need to feel safe, and we recycle the same energy over and over. We need that basic needs of survival. And until you learn to release that, you're never going to feel safe. Because, hey, I get it. You don't want to die, right? That's what it all boils down to. Safety equals alive. But guess what? You're going to die sometimes. That's the fact of life. We're all going to die. And you've died before. This is not your first go-around. You've died many lifetimes before this. And yet here you are. You're still around. So guess what? You're not going to go anywhere. This is just the illusion of our safety. All this stuff is the illusion of our safety. But it is in ourself of understanding that of who we truly are, that is pure safety. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't fear death at all, that you don't care to die or anything like that, or you don't care what happens. But it means that, hey, when the world happens like COVID, you don't get wrapped up into it. You don't go fearful and thinking the world's going to burn down and start buying stuff at the cost and don't care about others. You don't think that when a relationship ends that, oh my God, that was my whole life, because they're not. Everything is temporary, and that's one of the hardest things to remember about the root chakra. Is this? We have to learn that everything is okay. Everything is temporary, and no matter how much you have, no matter what you have, what you lost, it doesn't matter anymore. That is the hardest thing that we have to look. We have to learn to look at these things in a different reality other than our own. So, all right, let me see. What's the next chakra we're going to look at? Okay, so this next one that we're going to work I know we worked ourselves from top to bottom over the last couple of weeks, but we're going to work ourselves back from bottom up, okay? Because there's a reason for that. Because even though the first one starts with mentalism and we're looking to understand how we develop from mental all the way down to our basic fundamental needs, in order for us to build, we have to build up. And so if we're going to look at the Sacral Chakra, and what was that about? We were talking about polarity, right? Duality. Everything has an opposite side. Everything, no matter what we're doing, no matter where we're at, we all have an idea that if I'm experiencing this, there's an opposite end to it, to understand that there's some way else that we can understand that. And then after we understand that, guess what? There's other ways all the way around to understand everything. So it's duality. When I experience something, there's an opposite end to experience it. If I want to see a perspective, if I'm going to only see one side of everything, then that's the side that I'm going to see, and I'm not going to ever learn to develop a sense of awareness because I only see one side. I had another conversation with today. Actually, today's been full of conversations, and they've been all wonderful because I love to see people growing and challenging. And one of the worst things I hate to hear is that, I don't acknowledge my feelings because I'm trying to be positive. I want to be positive. I don't want to focus on my feelings. And I'm like, why? I was like, why would you not want to focus on your feelings? And I just don't want to dwell on that. I want to try to be, and how many times in this show do we say there's no such thing as positive and negative? At least not as in good and bad, because you can't be something that doesn't exist. Positive and negative are in polarity. That's it. Polarity, like a magnet, like positive side of a magnet and a negative side of a magnet. For there's one side, there's an opposite side. And in order for us to do our dance of life, we have to be chasing and saying, hey, what else can we be? What can we do? Who am I? Over and over and over. How can I experience this in several different ways? So if you're if you're having a hard time, like if you're stubborn, if you're one of those that don't like to hear anybody else's opinion, or the moment somebody says something, you shut it down, you're argumentative, you're a know-it-all, you have to tell everything is about you, you're the greatest person since sliced bread, and no matter, every time you get into a conversation, you have to tell people that they're wrong and this is the true way it is. Guess what? You're stuck here. You're trying to learn to master because you're so nearsighted that you only see what's very limited point of view. You only see what's in front of you. And this will never work because this whole positive side, let's be positive, never negative. You can't learn to build and reflect if you don't understand what has happened to you. And so these ideas must be acknowledged. If you want to expand the mind, then expand the mind and say, you know what? This is painful, but I need to deal with it. This is great, and as much as I'd love to stay in this land of sunshine and rainbows, I must understand that this is only temporary. I need both sides of the coin in order to make it work. Because how can I grow? How can I expand my consciousness? How can I see something and learn to develop a sense of awareness if all I am is about me? We can't, right? And so we see and we experience things with such a limited point of view that we sabotage ourselves. We sabotage everything across the board. We do not see what it is we want to do. And so if you want to master something, if you want to go through this chakra, if you have a hard time, then surround yourself with people that think differently of you. Make sure that every time someone says something that you don't agree with, zip it, close the mouth. And don't say anything. Acknowledge their point of view. Because just because someone has a different point of view than you or a different thing, what's to say, and there's no right or wrong. Again, it's all perspective, but that's the key, right? You're looking at something as right or wrong. You're not looking at things in perspective. You're looking at things right and wrong. And so with this chakra, that's what you're looking at. You're saying, well, I'm right, they're wrong. This is the way it is. There's no other way. And hey, that's cool. And how far has that gotten you so far? Not very far, has it? And so we must learn to see a plethora of different points of view. We must learn to open ourselves and challenge ourselves with. Now, the conversations that I had today, we have two different structure systems. And if you want to call them belief systems, hey, great. They believe in something, but we were still able to meet because it wasn't about me trying to prove that I'm right over them or them trying to prove that they're right over me. It was about people understanding that no matter what we believe in, what we look at, how we do, that it's about love and compassion, and it's about humanity first. And because of that, you're able to have friends of all different races, all different sexualities, all different political views, all different religious or spiritual views, or atheist or whatever. You're able to have friends of all different magnitudes because you have an open mind to realize that they are you sharing a different experience so that they can understand themselves in a different point of view. That's it. That's as easy as it goes. We have to release the stubbornness. We have to release the closed-mindedness in order for us to grow. All right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, if you're back, you're just joining us for the third and final part of the show. I first want to say hi to a new watcher called Michael. Michael, hi, thanks for joining us. You didn't think I was watching, but I'm watching you. So, all right, guys, let's get into this because we got a bunch more and I want to try to finish this time. You guys know I always go over. It's one of my things. So let's go to the solar plexus chakra. What is that about? Well, it's all about responsibility, right? Because it's when we talked about it, we were learning that to understand life, we have to understand that everything we create, everything has consequences, right? Every choice that we make, and I don't mean consequences as because you're going to take your mind and you're going to say, wow, well, this is like a consequence. Why do I have to have a consequence? I just mean everything has a cause and effect. Everything. So even if it's a happy cause and effect, it still has a consequence. Consequences don't have to be terrible. They don't have to be in your mind bad, and they just have to be. You have to understand that if I project that I'm strong and confident, well, guess what? My life is going to be strong and confident. If I project that I'm the victim and everyone does stuff to me, well, then guess what? Everyone's going to do stuff for you. So everything that you say, do, think, and feel has a consequence to your cause. So that's why they call it cause and effect. This is how we master this. If we want to master the cause and effect, then we have to recondition our conditionings. This is all about reconditioning. Okay, I am conditioned to believe this, to think this, to feel this way, to react to this. And if that's the life that has caused so much chaos, well, then we need to recondition ourselves to think this way, to feel this way, to react this way, and to react that way. We have to change it. We have to come to the understanding that whatever's going on in our life is we're creating by what we really feel and think about ourselves, what we're putting out there, what we're saying on a daily basis. So even if we're saying daily, well, every relationship that I've ever, even in jest, if we're saying, oh, every relationship constantly people, all women are terrible, all men are terrible, if we're constantly saying things like this, then guess what? We're going to create that where we're creating where all the terrible men or all the terrible women or all the toxic relationships are coming at us. Oh, well, I'm going to break everything in the house. Well, that's because we're going to break everything in the house, right? So these ideas are what we're causing because of what we feel for ourselves. We're creating that vibration because remember, the heart is about vibration of what we're going. We can't be up here all the time. We can't be down here all the time. We must go through a smooth rhythm in order for us to understand who we are. And so this is the creation. If we're vibrating at, oh, my life sucks. This is, no, I'm not worth it. All these things to beat ourselves up. Then what we're causing is that effect to come back for people to treat you terrible. And why should people treat you terrible? Are you a terrible person? Absolutely not. You're definitely worth it. You're definitely a very special person. Absolutely. You deserve the best, right? Then you need to believe that you deserve that. You need to believe that you're the best. I joke around a lot with my friends and people, and I do this thing where I kind of do like this snobby type of attitude sometimes, but in a real way, I'll be like, oh, I'm great. Well, I believe I'm great because I am, and you are too. And everybody around you is great. It's not until you learn to develop. It's not because of the things I do. It's because I know what kind of person I am. I know the kind of energy I put into myself. I know the kind of things I do for the world. And I know that that even though I'm not perfect, that I try. And when I see things that I need to work on, I really do work on it. Now, am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I know my worth. I know that I'm valuable. And you are too. And that's the kind of energy that you put out. I know my value. And my value is going to keep coming back. People keep coming back. People trust me. Why? Because they know that I know my value. It has nothing to do about being honest. It's what I'm putting out. My cause is I know my value. I know what I'm worth. I know what I want in life. And that energy puts it out and brings it back, cause and effect. And that brings great people in my thing, people of value, people who want to change the world and that. If I was going there, years ago, I used to attract all the toxic relationships. I used to attract people that would just dump me as a friend and treat me like garbage. Why? Because at that point in my life, I wasn't a confident person. I didn't know who I was. And I allowed people, because of my past, of the abuse I took, to keep doing it to me. It wasn't until I realized that I was doing it to myself. Well, why am I attracting all this stuff? Well, because I say it every day. I say people are going to be mean. People are going to be shady. All this stuff. People are going to use me. People are just going to dump me. I'm not the type of friend that anyone wants. I said that every single day. And when I realized that the vibration that the vibration was because I couldn't accept who I really was. I didn't, in my mind, I wasn't worth it. Accepting that there is a whole different side to me that's worth it. I accepted these ideas, and so those ideas came to me. It's about continuing, constantly learning to accept the responsibility of who you are and what you are, to develop, to change that cause and effect. And it's not until you learn to develop through that cause and effect that you're going to change your life. Which brings us to the next part. The heart chakra that we discussed earlier, that the heart chakra is all about rhythm, like we were just talking, right? We were talking all about rhythm. And so what did we say before? That there's a time and place for everything in our lives. We're like a kaleidoscope, right? I brought this up last time, this cute little kaleidoscope, and there's all thousands of pieces in here, right? And as you turn it, all the pieces, they never leave, but all the pieces just fit in different times in different places. So if I keep it here for a day and then move it, guess what? None of the pieces disappeared. None of the pieces are better than others. They just fit at a certain time and place. And that's what we have to learn. We have a time and place for everything. Everything in your life is happening at a specific time or place. Everything that you're going through is a specific time and place. That's why the idea of being positive and negative is nonsense. It's silly. And the more you try to be positive over being negative, or someone's too negative, the more chaotic you're going to be. Because that's saying, well, positive is here and I got to be go, go, go all the time. And the negative's terrible. Oh, I don't want to look at any of that. And you don't keep a rhythm. You're just trying to shoot off like a rocket. Well, guess what? Even rockets fizzle out, right? There's only so much energy that something could produce before it comes crashing down, right? Same with that. And so you must learn to be in a rhythm. When you're feeling strong and good and powerful, go out and take care of the world. But when you're feeling like you need rest and down a little bit, use that time to reflect and say, now is not the time for me. Like the last 2 years, I had to I still did rhythms in those 2 years, but the whole 2 years was basically a downtime. I had to reflect on me and learn that right now is not my time. The only time for me is the time to care for me, the time to nurture me, and the time for me. That was it. The world will see a time for me later, but right now is the time for me. And you have to learn to do those rhythms. When you're feeling stronger, if you want to master that, then go out there and do something. But you have to learn to rest and digest for a little bit. If you're always trying to prove yourself, if you're always trying to go out and do something and conquer the world, then you're always going to be out of rhythm. As I said before, if the world is moving too slow and time is just ticking by like you're watching paint, then you're out of sync in a low space. If time is flying by so fast you can't even blink an eye, then you're out of rhythm with trying to do too much. If you're in this thing where time is going quickly, but in a nice, smooth way, where sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's, and sometimes it's rest and digest, then we know that we're attracting what we are, because that's what we are. The heart itself beats at its thing, right? Doom, 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 doom. It doesn't go and then stop for a day or two and then for a day. It doesn't do that, right? It beats in a rhythm. So follow the flow of your own heart. Follow the flow of who you truly are. You know more about you than you realize. Patience is really what this is about. Be patient, learn to control the emotions, learn to not take things so personally, and learn that you have a time and place for everything, even where you're at now. All right, let's get through the last couple because we only got 5 minutes. The throat chakra, which is here, this vibration is all about vibration, right? What we speak, what we say, how, and not even just voice, but how we speak here, right? And that comes back to us, the vibration that we speak out. These three chakras, these three governors of the universe, this one, and that one, and that all work simultaneously. Well, they all kind of work because they all one anyways. But these three in particular really work because once we think something, we create it, we speak the vibration, we get all out of whack because we're afraid and all that stuff, and then we create a whole mess of chaos. So you must learn that speak honestly. Be honest, live honest. If you want to master, this is all about honesty. This is all about who you really are. If I'm going to say that I'm not worth it, if I'm going to think I'm not worth it, if I'm going to be that, then that's what you're going to be, because that is what you're creating. If you were an artist, or even if the podcast, let's take a podcast. If you ever listen to podcasts and you get those people that are just really angry and they're either in politics or whatever, and they're just going to talk and swear and everything, what do you think they're creating? Do you think they're creating what they really want? Well, in a way, yes. But you think they're creating happiness and love and compassion? No, they're creating chaos. And the only people that are attracted to those type of podcasters are the people that are angry and chaotic themselves. They're not going to attract anybody that wants to be of love and work things out. They're not going to do that. We must learn to realize that what we say, not just vocally, but what we say about ourselves and our lives and what we want has more power, the language. If you work dishonestly, if you live dishonestly, if you do all these, if you lie, if you cheat, if you manipulate, then all these things, all these vibrations you're saying, and you're creating that. And again, remember, once you create something, cause and effect down here is going to bring it back to you and say, well, since we're a dishonest thing, all we're going to have is dishonesty around us. So I want you to take a look and say, hey, if this is what I want, then this is what I need to change. The third eye is to correspondence, as we said. Everything we see, we create, or everything we think, we see. Remember, these right here, our eyes, only see the physical ideas. There's so much more to who people are. You ever have a conversation with someone and they're saying something to you, but you could see their mannerisms, you can see the way they're talking, you could hear it, and you know that something's just not right, or they're not telling you the full story, or they're saying they're okay and it bothers them. Well, that's because you're seeing here. It's all about perception. You're being perceptive and you're saying, well, there's something else going on. There's more to the story. There's more to this person. There's more to these ideas than there is. And this is why I wanted to work from the bottom up this time, because this in itself is one of the hardest things to do, because we refuse to see anything else other than what we've been taught. Some of our minds are so conditioned to believe one way, to think one way, and when someone comes with something else, all of a sudden, oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy talk. This is blasphemy. We're gonna burn it all down. And that when we refuse to see anything else other than our own perspective, and that we see nothing. And this is why so many people feel lost in life. This is why so many people feel confused about life. This is why you get angry and get hurt by people all the time. Because you don't see what's really in front of you. You don't see what's really happening. You take it with the limited perception that we are working with, and we see and we create this whole elaborate thing to suit our own needs. And that's really what we're doing, right? We're trying to fit our own needs based on our limited perception, because we're not being aware of what we're doing. So if you want to start working on this one to get to working through it, then start opening your eyes. And I just don't mean these eyes. I mean these eyes. Feel the person. Listen to them. Listen to the situation. Just don't react to something that happens to you. Just don't be, just when something happens, don't get all angry and crazy. Try to think, okay, what is this really about? What am I missing here? Did I do something? What happened? Where was the translation lost? Why did this thing happen? And start to channel that type of energy. Because if you're willing to see more than what you see with your physical eyes, a whole new world's going to open up to you. All right, I got 1 minute left. But all right, guys, the last one is the crown. You know, I'll go over a couple of minutes. You know that. But the last one is the crown, right? This is all about mentalism, right? Because mentalism is where everything's at, right? We're all vibration. We're all frequency. Everyone, and quantum physics has proven this, that we're all frequency. We're all vibration, and we are. This is all about creation. We hear about the law of attraction all the time. Oh, think of what you want. Put up a wish board and do all this stuff, and you're going to have money, cars, success. That is not creation. That is not mentalism. That is a very limited skill. If you want to become a master of creation, then realize that you already are a creator, because this is what I created for my life. I created this body, this look, all these gray hairs. I created my voice to be able to talk. That's one of my greatest gifts that I created, was my voice, to be able to talk to you, to be able to share that knowledge. And creating. Even during the show, I've even gone off topic on the notes that I have, because I'm just feeling, I'm talking, I'm seeing what's going on, I'm getting vibration, I'm feeling, I'm just creating as I'm going. And that's really what we are. You are the creator of whatever it is you want it to be. So if you're not happy with something, well, accept it, that you're not happy, and you might not be able to change it physically or whatever, because maybe it's something that we're born with or something, but there's ways that you can change the rest of your world to make it whatever you want. I used to be, as you guys know, DID, bipolar, anxiety, PTSD. I suffered from all these stuff. And for a long time, that was my story. I was great at athletics. I was great at helping people. But I still suffered from those ideas. And I let that be my story. And I said, you know what? I am going to create a new reality. I am going to create one of love, of compassion. I am going to create where people understand me. I'm tired of people not understanding. So what? So what? I'm different than them. We're all different. And that, so what, I have different structure systems. So what if I talk differently than other people? I'm still worth other people's time and respect. And the moment I changed that, my creation, to find what I was looking for, everything changed. I went from being a total introvert to being both introvert and extrovert. I went back to being a social butterfly and then having recluse time. I changed everything about who I am. Why? Because I asked myself, well, who am I? Is this the stuff I wanted to be? What is it that I actually wanted? What did I want the trophies? No, I don't. I want this, and this in my life. And it all was about me. I want myself to love myself. I want myself to understand myself. I want to learn and experience new things constantly. And that's what I created. So this is the hardest one. Why? Because you have to understand all of this first before you really master this. That's why most people who claim to be law of attraction creators and stuff, they don't create anything except money, because that's all they know. All right, guys. Thank you for joining my show. I want to thank everybody who joined it. If you guys enjoyed the show, please share the show or share our website or whatever, because the only way we're going to get out and help other people is by you. Join us on our Facebook for facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Now I'm starting to stutter because I'm coming out of the channel. YouTube is the same, youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for our newsletter and receive special hidden shows and VIP access and special guest offers. Email us at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com, and always remember to believe in yourself. And it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.